Hi, welcome to the Mohua show. My name is Mohua Chinappa and I am an author, entrepreneur and ex-housewife. This podcast is about everything from business to technology to arts to lifestyle, but done and spoken ईमानदारी से. Hi, in today's episode, we have with us Aparna Piramal Raje. She's a renowned author, columnist, and speaker based in Mumbai, India. She holds a degree in politics, philosophy, and economics from Oxford University and an MBA from Harvard Business School. Her debut book, Working Out of the Box 40 Stories of Leading CEOs, was a national bestseller. Her latest book, Chemical Khichdi, How I Hacked My Mental Health, is a deeply personal account of her struggles with bipolar disorder and has been praised for its honest portrayal of mental health issues. So welcome for today's episode. I love to talk to women who are fearless, and for you to be able to talk about a space that's so personal for you. What inspired you to write this down in Chemical Khichdi, How I Hacked My Mental Health? What was it that made you put this together?
Thank you, Mohua. Thank you for having me on the show. It's really a pleasure. I think, writing is actually how I make sense of the world. I think we all make sense of the world in different ways. It could be through dialogue, as you're doing, or it could be through other forms of art, for example. But for me, it's always been writing. So when I got diagnosed, I wrote a note for my family about 10 things I've learned on being bipolar. And I shared it with my family, with my doctors, with my book club, and various other people. And they thought that it could be the template for a book, especially the book club. And they encouraged me to write a book, and they thought that this could be useful for other people. So I think mainly for me to get awareness and to make sense of my world, and with the hope that it could help others also.
So, what message do you want to give out to your readers and the takeaway from your book? Let's delve into the whole writing process. How did you go about putting this entire journaling of your own experiences together?
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned the word journal, because I've actually been maintaining a journal for about 10 years now, or more than that. And I think that was laid the basis for this book, because it gave me that experience about writing about my thoughts and emotions and my feelings, right? And that was the basis for then turning this into a book that I thought could help others. And what message I really want to give is that I want to give a message of hope. Okay, that I think something like bipolar disorder is known as a serious mental health condition, and people struggle with it. And this book is not just about bipolar disorder, it's about all mental health challenges. So it's useful for people with all sorts of issues. So I think that the message I really want to give is a message of hope that you, your family, your loved ones, all the people who care for you can actually live and thrive with a mental health condition.
Aparna, I'm going to ask you to talk a little bit about your experience with bipolar disorder, because we have so many listeners and so many of them kind of don't understand how to process this whole thing and how it impacted your life, and how do you find this sort of courage? Just tell our listeners a little bit about that.
So, my journey with bipolar disorder began over 20 years ago. So I had my first extreme mood swing, which is known as mania, when I was in my mid 20s. And I was just about to go to Harvard Business School. And I got into this state of mind where मुझे नींद नहीं आ रही थी, मैं बहुत बहुत अलग तरह के सपने देख रही थी. I thought I was the center of the universe. I could change the world. I was full of energy. And my facial expressions were different. My behavior was different. And my family couldn't understand what was going wrong, because, 20 years ago, we didn't have this vocabulary that we do now. And so I went off to Harvard, and my sister and my mother had to come with me to accompany me and take me to campus. And then when they left, I got into a depressive state, and I was very unhappy for quite a long time. So bipolar disorder has these extreme mood swings where you can be, feeling that you're the center of the universe at one end, and the other day you can be feeling that you're really unhappy. I want to make sure that it's not the day-to-day mood swings that we all have. We all feel happy or sad or frustrated or angry day to day. Those things happen all the time for us. But this is something that happens on a more extreme level. So this journey began 20 years ago, and then over the last 2 decades, I ended up having these swings about like once a year, maybe once in 6 months. There were also periods where 2, 3 years would go by, nothing would happen. So it would vary. But over the last 5 years, I've been pretty stable. That's what's allowed me to write this book also. And that's the journey has just been one of, I would say that for me, bipolarity has become a guru. मैं इससे कुछ सीख रही हूँ. It has become, my vulnerability has actually become my teacher. And I have learned so much from it. And I think I get the courage to write about it because I think I draw it from a number of different sources. But I think what I've learned over a period of time is that courage is really a marathon that starts with trust and ends with normalization. तो अभी मेरे मन में कोई स्टिग्मा नहीं है, पर 20 साल पहले या 10 साल पहले जब मेरे डायग्नोसिस हुआ था, और मैं किसी को भी कहना नहीं चाहती थी कि मैं बाइपोलर थी, मैं वो आइडेंटिटी को स्वीकार करने के लिए तैयार नहीं थी. पर अभी नाउ I've written a book about it. I'm doing so many conversations, talking to people like yourself about it. So I'm completely open क्योंकि मेरे मन में बिल्कुल कोई स्टिग्मा नहीं है. अगर मैं डायबिटीज के बारे में बात करूं या मैं बाइपोलर के बारे में बात करूं, उनमें कोई भी फर्क नहीं है.
रिश्तों के साथ कभी आपको स्ट्रगल करना पड़ा?
मेरे जो रिश्तेदार हैं, मेरे परिवार, मेरे फ्रेंड्स थे, काफी अंडरस्टैंडिंग थे. पर उनके लिए भी मुश्किल तो है ही. जब ये मूड स्विंग्स होते हैं तो पूरे फैमिली अफेक्ट हो जाते हैं. If I'm not sleeping for days, then it's difficult for them to cope up with it also. If I'm doing a lot of writing, which is what I do when I'm going through a manic phase, it's very difficult for them. Or when they see me unhappy, they see me being quiet, they see me being withdrawn, it affects them also. So I think it's a mental health is challenging, not for the individual, but for the entire family. It's not like COVID जैसे आपको कोविड हो गया तो आप कमरे में जा सकते हैं, अकेले रह सकते हैं, आपको खाना 4 बार दिन में देंगे और आप ठीक हो जाएंगे अपने आप. मेंटल हेल्थ इज नॉट लाइक दैट. इट नीड्स द सपोर्ट ऑफ अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल. इसीलिए मैं कहना चाहती हूँ कि मेंटल हेल्थ एक टीम स्पोर्ट है, एक सोलो स्पोर्ट नहीं है, एक टीम स्पोर्ट है. जिसमें सभी जो परिवार के लोग हैं, जो भी फ्रेंड्स हैं, जो कॉलीग्स हैं, वर्क कॉलीग्स में, उनका बहुत ही बड़ा रोल है.
What advice would you like to have for individuals जिनके साथ अभी just recently वो लोग diagnosed हुए mental health related कोई illness के साथ, और पूरी परिवार को शायद समझ में नहीं आते कि किस तरीके से हैंडल करे इस सिचुएशन को? आप कुछ टिप्स शेयर करेंगे उनके साथ?
पहले तो मैं कहना चाहती हूँ कि अगर वो केमिकल खिचड़ी पढ़ना चाहेंगे तो उनको आई होप कुछ ना कुछ उम्मीद मिलेगी और कुछ ना कुछ हेल्प भी मिलेगा वो उसे पढ़कर. और अगर वो पढ़ना नहीं चाहेंगे तो बहुत यूट्यूब में और आप जैसे कॉन्वर्सेशनलिस्ट बहुत है, वो भी बातचीत सुन सकते हैं. पर आई वुड से दैट द वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग टू रियलाइज इज दैट जो भी मेडिकल प्रोफेशनल्स हैं हमारी जिंदगी में, चाहे साइकाइट्रिस्ट हो, काउंसलर्स हो, थेरेपिस्ट हो, उनका जो हेल्प लेना बहुत जरूरी है. और हम लोग मैं भी अपनी जिंदगी में मैं मेडिसिन नहीं लेना चाहती थी, मैं साइकाइट्रिस्ट के पास नहीं जाना चाहती थी. आई वॉज वेरी अफ्रेड ऑफ द लेबल ऑफ बाइपोलर, एंड आई डिडंट गो टू गेट मेडिकेशन फॉर ओवर 10 years, and now I have been on medication for 10 years. So I think that I'm not saying that you have to take medication or you don't have to take medication, but if you need to take medication, you shouldn't hesitate from that. You shouldn't hesitate to go to a doctor, and not everything requires a psychiatrist. You can also go to a therapist or a counselor. So that's a very, very important thing. You can actually go and see a therapist for any issue. You don't have to be quote unquote broken and find a problem to be fixed, or have a crisis in the family to go and see a therapist. So that is one thing. And the other thing is, lifestyle is very, very important, Mohua. That sleep, exercise, nutrition, वो तो सभी के लिए जरूरी है, पर खासकर अगर आपको कोई भी मेंटल हेल्थ चैलेंज है ना, तो वो लाइफस्टाइल, गेटिंग इनफ स्लीप, अच्छी तरह से एक्सरसाइज करना रेगुलर बेसिस पर, और अपना खाना पीना की तरफ थोड़ा देखना, वो बहुत जरूरी है. मेरे मतलब बाइपोलर होने के बाद ही मैं समझ पाई कि ये चीज मेरे लिए इतनी जरूरी है. जैसे हफ्ते में अगर मुझे अगर बाहर जाना है तो शायद 2 या 3 बार से ज़्यादा नहीं जा सकती हूँ और लेट नाइट्स तो मेरे लिए बिल्कुल मना है, मैं नहीं कर पाती हूँ। पर अगर रात को मुझे बाहर जाना है तो हफ्ते में ये 2 बार जाओ या ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा 3 बार जाओ। Make sure you have a good routine in your life. These things sound very basic, but the way I look at it is mental health is this garden that I need to attend to every day, just like you have कोई बगीचा में आपको उसका ध्यान रखेंगे, तो उसी तरह ये एक मेंटल हेल्थ एक गार्डन है जिसका हम लोग ध्यान रखना बहुत जरूरी है.
So do you think society can improve its understanding of mental health related illnesses? जो एक स्टिग्मा आपने कहा, बहुत सारे लोग इस बारे बात नहीं करना चाहते, छुपा के रखते हैं. तो आपको क्या लगता है ये इम्प्रूव करने के लिए क्या क्या होना चाहिए? किस तरीके की ट्रांसपेरेंट कॉन्वर्सेशन, जैसे आपको आपने ये इतनी हिम्मत जोड़ के मेरे साथ ये पॉडकास्ट कर रहे हैं, तो मेरे लिए आप हीरो हैं. और मेरे ख्याल से बहुत सारे फैमिलीज है जो कहना नहीं चाहते हैं, स्पेशली लड़कियों के साथ तो बिल्कुल भी नहीं कहना चाहते हैं. व्हाट आर द चेंजेस डू यू थिंक दैट सोसाइटी नीड्स टू एड्रेस?
आई थिंक सोसाइटी नीड्स टू अंडरस्टैंड कि हम सब इसमें हमारा रोल क्या है इसमें. अगर हम किसी के स्पाउस हैं या किसी के पेरेंट हैं या किसी के चाइल्ड हैं, सिबलिंग हैं, कोवर्कर है, फ्रेंड है, अभी हम सब में हमारा एक रोल है. ऐसा नहीं है कि फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल आई थिंक all of us are affected by mental health challenges at some point or the other. We may go through a phase of depression, of anxiety, of lack of sleep, of eating issues. We may go through all of that at any point in time. It's not fixed that only some people have it. But then the other thing is that if we are in a situation where we are, somebody known to us is suffering from this, then how do we help them? I think we need to understand that. And that's partly also why I wrote the book, because the book is as much for people in the caregivers and the people in the ecosystem as it is for individuals who are living with this kind of condition. So I think that to know that, first of all, we need to know how to discuss it. What is our vocabulary? अगर किसी का depression हो, उनको शायद उनको नहीं जाकर बोलते हैं ना कि are you depressed? We are not going to ask them that question. We may ask them what's going on with you, what's happening in your life, what did you do over the weekend, how's your, how are you feeling? Oh, I noticed that you're not the same as you used to be. Do you want to tell me what's on your mind? You have to speak with a certain level of empathy. Okay, and you have to be very patient and keep doing this over and over again till the person trusts you to tell you what they believe in. So I think most important thing is we need to have the right vocabulary to talk about all of this. That's what I feel.
So how did you go about finding the right treatment, for your bipolar disorder? I mean, what does one need to do if one is diagnosed with this?
For me, there are 3 things you need to do just to survive. Okay. And the medical part, जिसके बारे में मैंने बात की, डॉक्टर के पास जाना, थेरेपिस्ट के पास जाना, काउंसलर के पास जाना, वो बहुत जरूरी है. वो स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट है. फिर द रोल ऑफ द फैमिली और द केयर गिवर्स जो है अपनी जिंदगी में, उनको मैं लव थेरेपी कहती हूँ. वो भी बहुत बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट है कि उनका एक्सेप्टेंस मिलना, उनका सपोर्ट मिलना और उनको सपोर्ट देना अगर आपके फैमिली में कुछ चीज हो रही है. एंड द थर्ड थिंग इज दैट the lifestyle part, which I talked about. So these 3 things, lifestyle, love therapy, medical therapy, is good for survival. And, most people struggle with just this, finding the right help. And the second part is for me to go from surviving to thriving. So agar you want to be in a situation where you're thriving with it, you can write a book about it, you can talk to people openly about it, you feel comfortable in your skin, then I think, you need to do certain other things. You need to have good allies in your life, good friends and mentors, networks, whom you can trust and who can help you and give you advice. That has helped me a lot. You need to be open at work, and you need to find a workplace that is understanding and can accommodate your challenges and give you the flexibility that you need. You need to have a lot of soul searching and introspection and reflection. That's very important to understand. Why am I getting triggered? What is causing my mood swings? What is causing me to be angry? What is causing me to be frustrated? What can I do to improve? So you need to have that conversation with yourself. And then also spirituality plays a very, very important role. So these are certain things that I think are really important.
So when you've just used the word spirituality, I just want to know, about the role that spirituality has played in your mental health journey.
Yeah, I think, the biggest thing, Mohua, that spirituality does is it reduces a lot of the ego. that because we often, when we have a mental health condition, rightly or wrongly, we are often thinking so much about ourselves, like, this is what I'm going through and I'm struggling with this. And spirituality, what it does is it says that there's something else beyond your ego. Look beyond that. And it also tells you in a very positive way that actually yourself is whole. You are not necessarily a broken person or a splintered person or a incomplete person, that your true self is a very whole, positive, infinite, blissful, peaceful self. And it provides a pathway into that, through understanding gratitude, through understanding humility, through understanding detachment, through the power of faith, through all of these different things. So all of these things help to get to that place where you can, find a much, much more positive approach to life, and help you with all the triggers.
अपर्णा, ये सारा कुछ मैनेज करते हुए आपने किस तरीके से ये किताब को लिखा है और क्या क्या चैलेंजेस आए व्हेन यू वर राइटिंग द बुक?
एक तो चीज थी कि जब इस तरह की किताब लिख रहे हैं तो पूरी जो पास्ट है और जो हिस्ट्री है उसको रिविजिट करना पड़ता है। तो उसके लिए डिटैचमेंट की जरूरत है, क्योंकि अगर आप डिप्रेशन के बारे में लिख रहे हैं और आप खुद डिप्रेस्ड हो जाएंगे तो फिर दैट इज नॉट गोइंग टू बेनिफिट द रीडर एंड दैट इज नॉट गोइंग टू बेनिफिट यू एज अ पर्सन. So initially I wasn't stable enough. I wasn't detached from the material. I was too close to the material to be able to write it. I tried writing it a couple of times and then I didn't get very far. और दूसरी चीज है कि जब इस तरह की किताब लिखेंगे तो बहुत से लोग हैं जो कहेंगे कि इस तरह की किताब मत लिखो, क्योंकि कुछ सोचेंगे कि कुछ ट्रिगर हो जाएंगे, आप लिख नहीं पाएंगे। कुछ सोचेंगे कि अभी अपनी सोसाइटी में इतनी स्टिग्मा है, इसके बारे में क्यों लिखना चाहते हो। या कुछ ने कहा कि देखो, कहानी लिखना है तो लिखो, पर सिर्फ अपने फ्रेंड्स और फैमिली के लिए लिखो। 100 कॉपी या 20 200 कॉपी और 300 कॉपी छपवा दो और उनको दे देना। So, there are a lot of people to say that for me, it was very important to write it. So that's why I went ahead with it.
So, what is it that we can encourage more people who's going to listen to this podcast right now to seek professional help, for their mental health? How do you think we can encourage? Maybe some words from you, for people who may be struggling with a family member or they are struggling with themselves and they don't know how to go forward with it. What would you like to tell them?
I think the first thing is keep an open mind and ask for help. क्योंकि पहले जब मेरी प्रॉब्लम्स थी ना, लोग कहते थे कि तुम्हारी तबीयत ठीक नहीं है, तो मैं कहती थी कि मेरी तो तबीयत ठीक है, बिल्कुल है, so क्या प्रॉब्लम है, I'm feeling fine. So I think that we live in denial and that acceptance is really hard. I think the one thing to keep in mind, Mohua, is that helped me a lot. कि I learned the difference between personality and illness. और जो स्वभाव और बीमारी में जो फर्क है, जब मैंने वो एक्सेप्ट किया तो मेरे लिए काफी इजी हो गया. बिकॉज विद मेंटल हेल्थ यू ऑफन थिंक देयर इज अ प्रॉब्लम विद पर्सनालिटी, कि आप ये मूडी हैं या ये किसी से मिलना नहीं चाहते हैं, कि अक्सर गुस्सा में रहते हैं. सो वी ऑफन थिंक देयर इज अ प्रॉब्लम ऑफ पर्सनालिटी. बट व्हेन देयर इज अ मेंटल हेल्थ कंडीशन एंड माय डॉक्टर ने लिखा था कि इसकी पर्सनालिटी बिल्कुल नॉर्मल है, पर उसकी केमिकल इम्बैलेंसेस है, इसमें केमिकल खिचड़ी जो है उसमें है, और इसको दैट नीड्स टू बी ट्रीटेड, देन आई फेल्ट अ लॉट बेटर. दैट आई सेड ठीक है, मेरी पर्सनालिटी बिल्कुल ठीक है, मेरे उसमें प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, पर ठीक है, मेरे ब्रेन में कुछ प्रॉब्लम है जो उसको थोड़ा एड्रेस करना है. सो आई थिंक आई बिकेम मोर विलिंग टू लिसन टू ट्रीटमेंट देन, एंड आई थिंक दैट्स वन थिंग टू कीप इन माइंड. आई थिंक देयर आर मोर रिसोर्सेज नाउ दैट आर अवेलेबल. किताब में मैंने कई रिसोर्सेज इंक्लूड की हैं, अफोर्डेबल रिसोर्सेज इंक्लूड की हैं. Actually, that list of resources I have shared on the internet, and I can share that with you also if you want to post it alongside your podcast and share that with people. So I think that resources abhi kafi kuch hai jo pehle nahi the. And I think getting the right professional help is really, really important asking. And also, trust people, trust the people around you and tell them that I've got this issue. That's one thing. And the third thing is be a good ally. That even if you don't have a mental health condition yourself, look out for people. Just the other day, I went out for a friend of mine, and I told her that, listen, you're not the same as you used to be. You used to be so, vivacious and so cheerful and fun-loving. And very funnily, she just turned around and said, "हाँ, आजकल मुझे shopping में भी मजा नहीं दिख रहा है. मुझे जो shopping में जो पहले मुझे इतना joy मिलता था, वो अभी मुझे नहीं मिल रहा था. अभी मिल रहा है." So what I'm saying is, be there for someone else. Take them out, talk to them, spend time with them, and be an ally. I think that if society can do, then that amount of empathy can go a long way.
What are your next writing projects?
I think my next project is to go on a sabbatical. I think I've been working quite hard. I just sent a message to a couple of my friends saying, for the next few months, I want to get back into physical health. I've neglected it, so I need to get back into shape. I want to do a lot of reading. I want to do some travel. I need to do up a house. I'm just going to do that for like 2-3 months and then see what I want to do. I always have a lot of ideas. So let's see where we are a few months from now.
So before we end this podcast, Aparna, I'd like you to read a few lines from your book that you think were the greatest breakthroughs for you.
I will read a poem because the book has a number of poems in it. This is a poem that I wrote when I was coming out of depression. So it's called Turning Point. There are no headlines today, no cocktail launch parties or award ceremonies, no business class seats and frequent flyer miles. There is a private knowledge that today was a day where nothing was written, which would later be regretted. That today was a day where it didn't occur to me how easy it would be to jump off a building. Today, I didn't have to dismiss the thought. Today, there's a London bus made out of a cardboard box. There is camping under a blanket, strung between two wooden dining chairs in the living room. Today, there are no moments of despair, no delusions of grandeur. Instead, an attitude of gratitude, moments of simplicity and spontaneity, and the promise of purpose.
Oh my God, that was beautiful. You got my heart, and we both are so alike as people, Aparna, because I also write. I'm an author. I did my first book in the corridors, of a hospital because my parents were taking turns in the ICU. And it's my debut book. And my second book is, I will be closing it this month to publish it, by the end of this year. And we are really on the same page as people. We all struggle with mental issues. And to find the light from this entire space of darkness is nothing but triumph. So congratulations to you, and wishing Chemical Khichdi all the best and help for all our listeners right now. If they are facing any sort of situation, go grab a copy and you will find lots and lots of insights from Aparna herself. Thank you, Aparna, for being on this podcast.
Thank you, Mohua. Thank you for having me, and congratulations on your new book also.
To you, our dearest listeners, you can find us on your favorite streaming services, Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcast, and of course on all other major streaming services. With loads of love, we are The Mohua Show, where we talk ईमानदारी से.